Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. Just seem to have a problem with my lag at the moment. It's showing 114, which is a bit odd. Now, I have got a piece of software which is supposed to take care of that, so I'm just going to have a quick look and see how I can sort it out. So, Karina, good morning to you. Little Hammer, good morning, mate. Okay, I'm hoping it's going to settle down, but that is just ridiculously high at the moment. So, let me just see if I can find the piece of software that manages it. On the other, wow. Okay, that's just sorted it out. It's just disappeared. Odd. Okay, fingers crossed it stays that way. So lags drop back down. Now, whether that just pushed up quickly there or the lag caught up and all of a sudden it took it back to where it was. Let me just check orders are all open. They should
Order
be.
submitted.
Yeah. Okay, fingers crossed.
Order canceled.
Started to look like a little bit of a range. It's not had enough connections to the top and bottom really for me to trust this and trade it back in. There is a possible higher low there, but I'm just not wrapped because we are closing at below the lows, so I don't want to automatically go long here because there's always the possibility we end up having something like that, which wouldn't look kind of a two-tier channel. So it's just a bit too early, I think, to go short here. May work, but I'm just not super confident. Hasn't triggered anyway. Okay, let's have a look. Hi, you need to reload your bars. I actually did it, mate. But in fact, to be honest with you, I couldn't get my chart open for about 10 minutes. It just wasn't loading for some reason. So I've reloaded it, see what happens. So, Bastian, good morning to you, bud. Scruffy. Oh, you said the same. Okay. I have just clicked the reload. Hopefully. So, first chart, second chart. This is the chart with the unselected break at end of day. So if anybody doesn't know, it just gets a slight different variation. I was just commenting to this on Dan's group. Been there, done that. Punched a monitor a few times and threw it out the window. That was a few years ago. It does make me wonder why traders have so many monitors. I think that's possibly why. I didn't hit my keyboard, just my monitor. So, still loading. It's taking time for some reason. I don't quite know why. There's a second entry short there. It triggered above there. Is this coming back down? It's hard to say at the moment. It's a little bit congested. It's too early in the day, really. There's just not enough price action. it may come down, it may push up. I don't know really at the moment. Also depends where you believe this bottom to be. Still loading. I just don't know why it's taking so much time. There we go, sorted. Okay, so that's interesting. We've bounced off that bottom a few times. It's very tempting to go long there because you've trapped some shorts. The trouble is there is 4 bars stacked side by side, and there's something about this picture I'm not super wrapped with. So it might not be the worst trade in the world, but because it is a little bit stacked up, I think it's probably best, certainly from my point of view, just to leave it alone. It's not great, is it? It's just a little bit funky, so it may work, but I think you're best off leaving it personally, or I certainly am anyway. So let me see if I can adjust this so it fits a bit better. I don't really think it makes a difference. It may not look terrible like that, but I'm going to leave it as it was just for now. See if it does work. See, it's struggling a bit. If it gets above there, there's bound to be some stops there, I would have suggested. So if it can get above there and there, oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, it is working. I didn't think it was the worst trade in the world, but I'm super particular at the moment. If you look on this chart, it looks even more congested. So I think you've just got to be a little bit careful there. Was not sure about this fairly. Yeah, so Marco left it as well. It's just one of those things. It's a bit too early on in the day. If it had been a little bit broken up, then it might not have been too bad. But my experience is when it is congested like that, you can see there on this chart, the left one, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bars. One of them's a doji. It's risky. But that bull bar there sat tight on that AMA. There's bound to be some stops there, which will give it that little bit of momentum. It's a riskier trade. But yeah, someone else's, Dan's put no, another guy's put way too congested. It's just too risky, I think. Regardless of whether it works, it's irrelevant. Worst trade in the world will work sometimes. You could take the worst looking short in a strong uptrend, and it'll work sometimes. But I've just learned over the last sort of 4.5 years that when it's like that, as tempting as it is, you've just got to leave it alone. I am much better at it than I used to. I couldn't help myself at one point, but I think the longer you've been doing it, kind of more you just decide to just let it go. If I can get 3 winning trades in a week on average, which ain't much, even 2 or 3 trades a week, there's plenty of money to be earned on that. But the trouble is, if I take a risky trade and it doesn't work, then you're kind of playing catch up in a way. That probably would be a better option. I don't think that's the worst trade. The trouble is it going to push right up the top? I don't know. I still don't think there's enough information at the moment. That might look too bad. The trouble is, if you take that bar, 1, you're right towards the top of the channel, and 2, that midline is playing a part, so you just don't know. So same again, if this would have dropped back here and sat up here, then that would have been a better option. But that for me, it's a big bar, it's 14 ticks, tick above, tick below. I'm not risking 4 points. Especially if this is a channel, we're at the top. Usually when we're at the top, we start to pull back. So it's just a no. It didn't trigger anyway, so it is irrelevant. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to take that up to there. So I have a feeling this may be more of a spike in a channel, which I think would fit better on the top. So going to be another slow choppy day, and you never know, mate. I think actually price has been a lot better yesterday, but all that was naff. All that was naff. Obviously, you may have got an option. I took a trade here, and one of them, I can't remember what it was. I think it was that one. That was a little better, but it was kind of later on in the day. It kind of, so, but all that is just shit. It's horrible to trade, that is. But we have had more movements yesterday, over the last couple of weeks. It's definitely improving. I've took more trades in the last 2 weeks than I took in the previous month. So it is getting better, but we still have times where it just does that, which is just very tight, very congested, and just no real, just not as easy to read. So we may get some of the same. So let's have a look. See, my guess is it's probably going to try and test the top of here, but the trouble is, if you take along there, it may come down and retest this. It is going up slightly, but it's not doing it at any rate of knots. So my gut feeling is it could quite easily have a break here, come down, take that out, retest this line, and then possibly. So I think that's risky. It didn't trigger anyway, and now it's just stacking up. So it's nothing you can do here, really. Now, I've decided to put my second chart right next to me because I keep bringing one in, and someone messaged me the other day saying, why did I take a trade on this chart? It was actually on this one. So sometimes they can look quite different. There's a good possibility we'll head higher. If you zoom out, look at the last two. Yeah, excuse me, just 1 second. No answer. Yeah, so that's what I'd have been suspicious of there. It came across, dropped down, broke below there, took out any possible buyers that might have bought that. Now, we wait for it to tick above. But I dare say there's as many, if not more, buyers that will probably see that and just buy at the top of it, which it didn't really go far, and then came back and took it out. So a second entry long off here, I don't think would be a bad option. But it's hard to say, really. Excuse me again. Sorry about that, my mother-in-law. Yeah, luck here. So there is a higher low there. Trouble is, you're at the highs. There's nowhere to go. Is it going to push up? I'd say it's got more chance, but you just never know. We've had a break at a new high. It may come down and test this. That's what I thought it was going to do there, but it seemed to just pick off that liquidity. So at the moment, so there is a failure there. Trouble is, that's a bit too far from that EMA. So is there a wider channel there? Possibly. How do I feel about that? It's not terrible. I would prefer to put that there and move this here. So if you'd have taken that there, it's triggered you and it will stop you out. There you are. So same again, there's nothing. It's a bit trappy at the moment. If you took that one, it never triggered. Well, it did there, so you may have bought that depending, but it came straight down and stopped you out. Another good strong bar up there, still looking like it's gone to the top. What happened? Triggers it, came straight down, stopped it out. So you've got to be careful here. It's a bit trappy, and now it's getting a little bit congested. So just got to be a bit careful. 1, 2, 3. There could be a triple test there. 1, 2, 3. How do I feel about that? It's just a bit trappy here at the moment. Is that going to work? 1, 2, 3. It's hard to say at the moment. The fact that it's just looking a bit untrustworthy. So I'm just going to leave this alone at the moment. It has closed a fraction below the EMA, and the EMA is going a bit flat here. So I wouldn't be surprised if it came down, cleared out, maybe a few stops here with a bit of a tail. So there's one little leg with a break. It's hard to say at the moment, so I'm just leaving this alone. I don't think it's a terrible trade, but it's not something I want to get involved in just at the minute. There is kind of like a little bit of a range there. So as we know, when we bounce off, this is kind of more range rules then, isn't it? But I'm just not wrapped at the moment. Got a leg down with a break. It may well trap some longs here. All it's got to do is push down and it'll take out some stops and possibly some here. So I'm leaving well alone at the moment. It's just too finicky. If we got a higher low here, that might not be a terrible option. It probably will work because you may argue we've got a bounce, and a bounce, and it's looking like it might start, but I've gotten to this sort of thing before, and sometimes it'll just launch down and take you out. So I think the better option is to wait for the higher low. So I'm treating this as a wider channel now, so you'd expect it to break the tops. But it's gone up to that midline a couple of times, and it couldn't get much higher. So just not feeling happy about this. I don't have to think now. I just either like it or I don't. I don't mess around counting anymore. You just, doesn't really matter. I've seen Mac mark second entries that aren't second entries by the count, but they're clearly 2 legs down. Incidentally, did anybody watch Mac's video last night with his demo trades? He said he made $700 on the first trade and $400 on the second. Trouble is, he obviously didn't notice because he had his chart set to micros, so 10 times the amount less. So I don't know why that happened, but I got to say, seeing him trade like that and talking about what he was seeing, I think there's way more value seeing him do that than there is the end of day charts. I watched the end of day charts, see what I mean? That's what I mentioned. It'll do this sometimes, all of a sudden launch down, and it did exactly what I thought. So you've got to be so careful here. It's just getting very risky. It'll take out these areas, I think, quite lightly. But we've got a channel up now with 2 legs down. For me, to get into a long trade here, I really would have to have it go below there, certainly there. But that does look like 2 legs down, so it may work. But this, to me, the more it's trappy, the more I just don't trust it. So, Max, yesterday view was, yeah. I did think it was funny though, the way he was talking about how much money he'd made, and then I just noticed he had it on micros and on the 1300 tick chart. So he'd obviously been messing around with it somehow and forgot to put it back. I'm assuming he did, by the way he was talking about how much money he'd made on them. But I much prefer what he did last night compared to the kind of trade evaluation he does at kind of at the end of the day. I don't get a lot of value from that anymore, although I still watch it. But I think it's nice to get inside someone's head when they're thinking about, what they're looking at. So just sell now and hold on. Down since I set up earlier. It's always a way in it. I remember that. Anybody seen that? John Paul, sadly no longer with us, but he said something interesting which I thought was quite right. Instead of putting your order here, put your order where your stop goes, and it's right sometimes. Sometimes it'll come down and stop you out and end up going in the same direction. But yeah, it does make you wonder sometimes. When you're when you're taking stupid risks, it never seems to work. If you kind of just do the complete opposite, it'd be interesting to see what sort of result you get. So yeah, yeah, it's just support for a large uptrend starting at yesterday's low of the day. I'm sure people trying to play it. Yeah, I'm a believer, as you guys know, in it is. I think it's important to look at what's happened previous days, because if it's bounced 5 or 6 times here and we're coming down to it, and you think, oh, there's a short there, I think you've got to pay attention to the fact that you may be shorting right into a possible yeah. So I mean, first and foremost, it visually fits. We've had a couple of bounces, but it still looks like it was relatively made to measure. So it's hard to say. We could have a leg and a leg, or we could bounce here. I think if you're thinking about taking a short here, that's, I think, when these bigger pictures, I think it's worth paying attention to. I think going short into that line probably isn't the best idea. But yeah, I mean, we generally, as a rule, you never hear Mac talk about previous days. Very rarely. I mean, he only goes for a point, and Mac knows these charts inside out and back to front. So from his point of view, it's kind of irrelevant. But I think by looking at the bigger picture only expands your skill. I think because if you are seeing a long here, seeing the fact that it's bounced in that area, there's another good reason to go long as well. So sometimes it can kind of solidify your thought process. So, and not just that, really. If you were trading the hourly chart, you wouldn't be looking at today. Or if you were trading the 4-hourly chart, you'd only get about 2 or 3 bars. It's useless. So, it's important what it's done yesterday, day before, and previous weeks and months in some cases. Yeah, so I mean, this bigger picture gives you information as well, doesn't it? So look, so we've got a channel up here with 2 legs back. Now we seem to be getting a bit of support there. Now I mentioned I wouldn't consider going long until it broken below these areas. Now if you look at that, that's exactly what it's done. It's broken below all these little bits of liquidity that people may have jumped into, and all of a sudden it's gone sideways and starting to push up. So now my thought process is it's cleared any of this liquidity, all that lot is gone, and we've had 2 nice legs down. It seems to be holding here, so you would naturally assume then it would start to move up. Unfortunately, it's not the best bar in the world, but also I don't think it's the worst area, but it's not so much clear. It looks more like legs here. Here it's a little bit more messy. But if we got a higher low here, I don't think it would be a bad option, but it started off a little bit weird. So what I'm going to do is that's going to confuse me a bit. So I'm just going to put the bottom line there. Just from there to there, so I've got a reference, just in case it comes down here. But yeah, it's kind of what I expected. Come below, clear this out before it pushes higher, but then really there's no way, and all of a sudden we're up 4 points in a matter of a half a minute, and we're close to the top. So we do get used to knowing how price works. We know there's a good chance that it's going to do this. We've already had a breakout of this. It's pushed back in. We had a little dip below it, but just to clear this out, and now it's moving northwards, certainly up to a point. This is looking like it's coming down, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just sitting out of anything here. I'm just not interested in a trade. It's a little bit unpredictable at the moment. Yeah, it is a little bit. Okay, Down's taking his chart down there. I don't think that's a bad option. We are going a little bit sideways there to push off that bottom, so leg up, correction, another leg up. I mean, you'd have to guess it's probably likely going to go up, but we couldn't get up there to the top and then it came back, so maybe we get a second entry and a bit more of a push up there, but that's just kind of call it an educated guess. So I don't know, maybe something like that, which would take us above this. If we can get above here, then may push up a bit, but it's not super clear. It is struggling to get up. That's what it seems like. You know, there's always a possibility we could end up doing something like that. Especially as we've kind of had a break of this. We've made one attempt and a second attempt. It does seem to be struggling a little bit. Who knows? Ooh. Excuse me. If we get above here, we may have a shot at that then, and then obviously make a new high, so it may push up, but it's not finding it easy. Dan's changed his now to that. That's where I originally had it. Okay, so we've got a channel up here with two legs back. First attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. pushed in. We've made one attempt to go lower. Okay, we broke above that bar, but not that one as of yet. I think it's likely we will. It'd be interesting to see where it goes there. So we have got a leg up with 2 legs back. Okay, so we've broken above there now. Let's see if this continues on up. I don't really think I need that. It just looks like a push-up, 2 legs down to test these lows and then up. It was struggling and you did wonder whether it was going to be, but we've only really pushed up. We've only bounced here, really. There is a bit of support there, but it's the bottom of the chart. It's the bottom of the range, so I think that's okay. Okay, so we broke above this, and now all of a sudden we're pulling back. Possible short failure, actually. First entry, second entry. There's a second entry short there, which is triggered, and we're back at that EMA. I'd have preferred it to break below there and then push back up, but possible failure. But my concern is we're struggling to get above there. So we've got a channel with 2 legs down, 2 legs up to a new high, and we're pulling back. I think it's probably natural we do pull back a bit there, because as we eat up some stops, usually, I suppose, from here, people will take profits here, maybe, which might create things to slow down. And although I don't think it's a range, if it struggles to get up there, it could come back and test this. Then that would look more of a range. Then we've come back to the EMA, crossed over, pushed up quite strong. So maybe this is going to continue up. Trouble is, you're going along right into the midline of the bigger overall picture. So. Same again, it's struggling to get above there. I would prefer a second entry long, but the trouble is, it's finding it hard to get up, which may push down again. It's hard to say at the moment. It does look like it's working. I consider that, but the trouble is, you can clearly see the support 1, 2, 3, 4. There is support there. I do think it's likely going to get over there, but taking a trade like that, it could trigger you, come back here, take out that stop, and then give us a second entry long to push higher. So that's a reason I wouldn't take that. Not only that, there's no room to the highs. There's nothing there. Tick above there. I mean, even if you're getting on the nail, you're not going to push a point because it's most of the time it's going to have to push through there. So I don't think you can take that really. Certainly not me. It's just not worth it. So far this day, I think really how this market is treating you is a good indication of whether it's trustworthy. And there's a lot of traps around here, so sometimes that can just. I think it's important to kind of just keep things in mind how it's treating you at the moment. But I do think there's likely 2 legs up there, and it's probably going to test this. But at the moment, it's just I'm not feeling it. Yeah, it is a bit, and when it is trappy, sometimes it's just like having someone that's untrustworthy, isn't it? Sounds a bit odd with a market, but the trouble is, if it is very trappy, I think you've just got to be a little bit extra cautious. Hate it when it's moving slowly upwards. It has the tendency of dropping quickly, like it did there. Just all of a sudden there, and then whoosh. Okay, there's nothing I could do at the moment, so I usually make myself a cup of tea before I trade, but I couldn't load my chart for some reason. It just wasn't having any of it, so I'm going to take a quick 5 minutes now, just make myself a quick brew, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, slowly grinding up, but up nonetheless. So I think it's likely to test these highs. So it is kind of still fitting within that move up, isn't it? 2 legs up. Then I'm guessing probably maybe something like that. So slow, slow, slow. Right, let's have a little look. So everybody else is doing. Okay, Alpine up a bit. Good on him. Nutty up a bit again. Good on him. Okay, so we've hit that measured move. So let's see whether, let's bring that down a bit. See if it's that level there. See if this is a range, and we've broken out the bottom of it. It may push out the top. If it breaks that, then I expect a little push, which should give us that little break. Somewhere along those lines. Okay, that's gone. Let's see what happens. Certainly wouldn't take a short here, not until it at least broken above this. I'm still not wrapped either, because it's just a bit unclear at the moment. I'll tell you what I haven't done. Check for news. There isn't any. How you doing, Rain. How did I learn to trade before I started with a prop firm? I went through a guy called Mac. I'll show you his website. I think this is what a lot of us use. Now, one of the things I will tell you, first and foremost, you can spend a lot of money on learning to trade, but you won't find anywhere as cheap as this guy. To be part of his website and look at all the videos cost you $125 per year. So this is the guy here, Mac. And this is what I trade price action. I think a lot of guys in the stream do. Well, certainly some do anyway. So this is it basically, but there's dozens and dozens of videos explaining everything. There's various different indicators. There's all sorts of bits and pieces here, but it cost $125 for a year to be a member. You can obviously email him and ask questions, and he explains everything. He shows you the charts every day, demos, but what he also does, which he's been doing for the last 13 years, is does a chart analysis at the end of the day. So if you want to kind of hear him, see what he's got to say and so on and so forth, this is his YouTube channel. But if you go to the video section, I mean, he does one of these every day. He did 2 yesterday, he did a few trade demos, but he does an analysis Monday to Thursday every week, and he's got videos going back 13 years. So this guy's been trading a long time. He's very good. He's very calm. It's a great system. Now, I'm assuming like most other systems, it takes time to learn. So, you know, if you're new to trading, you know, don't get confused that if you find a better strategy, it's easier to learn, you'll make money quicker. It doesn't work that way. Trading takes a long time. So we have broken above there, so that's good. So that's the guy anyway. Mac, his name is. It's price action trading, one chart, one time frame. So it's easy to set up. Nothing too complicated. So I've shown you his website. So if you are interested, or if anyone's interested, hop along. But I will personally vouch for him, as I suppose many others will. He's a really nice chap, and he's a good trader. And there's a Facebook group. If you are interested, there's a Facebook group that's been going for. I've been a member for over 4 years, and they chit chat, compare charts, and all this sort of stuff. So you're welcome, mate. You're welcome. You know, the trouble is there's so many different strategies out there, and there's so many different people on and around YouTube selling them for huge amounts of money. And when you're sort of relatively new, you just don't know what to do. You've kind of got to start somewhere. But the way I saw it when I first went with Mac is it's only going to cost me $125. There's nothing to lose. Not even it's $10 a month. It works out as. So, in fact, I think you can actually pay for it monthly now. So, but I consider myself lucky that I came across Mac, because he is a genuine guy. And I've been following him now for over 4 years. So you're not going to go wrong if you're new to trading. But, you know, talking about the prop firms, I wouldn't even touch a prop firm for at least 6 months. You really kind of got to get a feel for it and get a little bit of understanding how price works. But even then, it doesn't come easy. You know, trading it's like going on a great big journey. You know, if you decided to walk around the country, you're going to fall over, you're going to scratch your knee, you may break a couple of bones, you're going to have a few headaches, you're going to get soaking wet, freezing colds, boiling hot. You're going to go through a real tough journey of emotions and all this, and trading is exactly that. Pushes you to the limits, and it tests everything about you, and you're going to lose some money, so it's not easy. So but like I say, and like people say with most things, if you stick at it, it does eventually start to get easier. You know, it's kind of a rite of passage. Every single trader has to go through that. Now, there are traders who get there easier. I was quite stubborn. I wanted to do it my way. I thought if you throw money at it, it'll work. It doesn't. It's the complete opposite. Just makes your journey a lot more painful. But it's, it's just being consistent and learning. So I won't go on too much, but there you go. Any questions? If for anybody, private message me, whatever you want to do, and I'm quite happy to chat to people. I'll never turn down a chat, and I'll always answer a message. It's about helping each other. It's a tough business, this is. I don't charge anything. I don't teach. I'm just like most people here. I'm still trying to find my own way. So just be careful how much you spend. Always keep an eye on your purse strings. But if you do want to learn something, you're not going to go far wrong with $125. And a great Facebook group as well, full of some great people. And there's a couple of forums I'm with as well. In Discord, Dan's, this one here. And they chit chat. Dan's been trading for a long time. Very, very he's very gifted when it comes to trading. He just seems to make it work, and he takes very little losses. And so there's a lot of people in here to learn from, and some people on the stream as well have been trading a while. I know Brant's been trading for a fair few years as well, and I think most other people have as well. But everyone kind of finds their own way. I'm pretty sure Brant goes for a few more points. I go for 3. I think people start at 1. I wouldn't suggest that myself. I'd say 6 ticks is a minimum, but everyone kind of, when they've been trading a while, kind of finds their own way of doing things and kind of makes a few adjustments here or there to suit themselves. Yeah. Sam, how you doing, buddy? I didn't see you there, mate. Sorry. So I think really, certainly yesterday is, well, I mean, if we look back a couple of days, we're generally pushing up. We had that kind of little bit of it. It looks like really kind of a couple of legs back, really, if you think about somewhere along those lines. A bit of a sort of a steeper correction. Obviously, prices can't go straight up so quick, but it does look like now we're now on the move. I'm pretty sure these are all-time highs up here, so I'm pretty sure they are. So we are literally skirting below there, so I'm going to put that there. I'm almost certain it is. Look on the daily. Yeah. So we're up. All-time highs are literally 5, 6, 6.5 points away. So I think there's a good chance we get there. So second entry long off here wouldn't be a bad option, I think. But not the easiest day already. So now I did have a little ball here somewhere which I drew. Now on a rangy, break out the bottom, usually we'll get the opposite here. So I would just be a bit cautious about trading here, even if we got a second entry long, because it did kind of start off rangy. We had a breakout there, push up, a retest, and a breakout the top. As we know, we often get them. If we get one this side, we usually get one the other side. So this may come back into this range. So a second entry long here might not be a great idea. But it's hard to say, really. Some people would take it. I'm a little bit paranoid. So So there could be a second entry long here. My only concern is if this is a channel. Yeah, I've just asked Dan would he take a second entry long. He said possibly. If it sets up really nice and really strong, I don't think it would be a bad option. My only slight concern is if this is ranging, often we get a breakout here, we push back into the range. But as we know, the overall is bullish. So I would prefer to break below there and hit that EMA first and foremost. I don't think I'd get in here. It's too far from that EMA. It may trigger and come down, but okay, I think it's too late now anyway. It's not a setup in my opinion. You may take it. Trouble is, it's not a huge risk. It's only 4 ticks, but that is quite away from that EMA, and I'd like to see prices. As we know, a lot of the time before we get a move, it comes down and clears a lot of this. So that would concern me with that there, especially the fact that it wasn't close to that EMA. A lot of times it will trigger you, come down to the EMA, or just cross over and come down. So now it's stacking up. I just don't think that's a strong position personally. I find if you get really strong positions, they often just move. How far's that gone? So you'd have got, depending on where you got in, if you got a tick above it, you'd have got 0.5. It may still continue higher, but it's starting to go a little bit sideways now. Depends if it's strong enough and there's enough buyers, it'll move higher. Guessing there's going to be orders up there. Yeah, there is. Yeah, so there is orders sat up here. You can see them up there. Right the way up to 95, which is, yeah, so 95. These orders are up here. You can see them there progressively along here. So yeah, there is orders sat there, 250 up here as well, and a little bit higher. So as we know, price moves towards liquidity. It doesn't necessarily mean it won't pull back first. So I believe that isn't a break as of yet. It's not a convincing break for me. I mean, it depends how you draw this. There may be a small break. Could be too late. I don't know. It's just not super clear. Some buy orders at 90 down here. Just a fraction above 90. And then we got others orders up 93 and onwards, up to 95, which is about here. All-time highs up here, give or take a tick. Yeah, I can't see anybody that took that. But as somebody has just said, it was 4 ticks. Now, it's rare to see a 4 tick bar nowadays. So you may have deemed it worth the risk. I mean, it doesn't matter to me so much how small it is. If it's not right, it's not right. But if it's, some people love a go at stuff, and it might work for them if they're a little bit more aggressive. You tend to think the aggressive trades still work more often than not, but it's whether you want to, you know, take a few more losses, but still slightly tip the balance in your favour. Some people will trade like that. What's it does? Bart does. He's never afraid of a trade. If he thinks it's worth taking, he'll just take it and move on. So that's the type of trade I think he'd have a go. And it worked, certainly. If it was a point risk, let's say a tick above, tick, you're looking at 0.5 maximum. So you're still going to get more than you want it back. So you'd have got 2.5 points off it. Speedy heyday, my friend. Okay, so as I said, bookmap, there were orders down there. Well, it showed 90, but it looked a touch higher. But as we came down and hit those orders, let's see what happens now. There is more orders at 87, 88, 89 down here, which is below there. If this thing's going to go up, for me, if I was going to get into a trade here, I'm not going to, because it's just not doing nothing. I would always like it to clear that. The same as it did here. It pushed down, cleared them, but took out all these before then it started to move up. So it is starting to go sideways now, and it's looking like there's a break. So a break that small, then just a push up, for me, doesn't really happen. If it does that, it's usually because it's either a wider channel or there's the start of maybe something else. So I would certainly leave these ones that are premature and wait for it to get down here to clear out some of these liquidity. You've got a lot more chance of a trade working, I think, there than taking one here. As I say, 87, 88, and 89, there are orders which span that area there, which is below there and there. So I would, if this is a genuine break and there's not some other type of channel going on there, I would always expect that to come below these two areas before it pushes up. That's if it does push up. No guarantees. We broke the highs of the day, so you just don't know whether it's going to go up. But even if I did like a setup, it would have to be below there. I don't think it's a strong position. That, having said that, it worked. I still don't think it's a strong position, and that as same again because of that EMA. So I can't see many traders trading that. So I would love to see this maybe trigger above and come down, but you never know. Sometimes the thing just moves up, relevant to what you think. But there is quite a chunk of sell orders at 93, which is above this. So I do think it'll push above that, but I'd like to see a decent break, at least some kind of structure to take that long if I was going to. Buying here isn't a sensible idea. So I think if people are going to buy this market, it's going to be in this area. And that shows by these orders here between 87 and 89. So there's people willing to buy at that price, which makes sense. It's below there. You won't want to buy here because if it triggers you, it's likely going to hit these areas, come down to 87, which is where the bottom of that line is, below any little bit of liquidity here. So really, if this is going to push up and you still like to buy this, it's going to have to be in this area, really. That's the safest place where other people are trading it, really. I suppose the more people in the boat in buying, the more chance it's got of going up, but no guarantees. And then obviously you can see them sell orders there at 93, which is a tick above this high. There's a bearish bar there, so there's bound to be some sellers in there. So there you go. Okay, so it's clearly now going a bit sideways, so I wouldn't trust anything here, regardless of whether it triggered. May just trigger and shoot up, but it's going sideways. This needs to find, I think, these buyers which are in this level here. Before it pushes up, you just never know. If it does start to move up, buyers may just yank those orders. just stacking up and getting wicky now. Nothing you can do here. It's got to get below there and there for me before I could even consider a trade. Yeah, and obviously you got to get one that's going to set up. Ah, so that's funny. I just literally looked at that possible channel there, and Mac's chart is just popped up. Look what he's got. So Mac's got that. So I literally just tried that a minute or so ago. When did he put that on? Dan's just posted it 44 1 minute ago. So okay, perfect. That's what I was looking for. So now, so it's cleared out any liquidity there. It's picking up all these orders here, but is that enough to push them higher? Trouble is, we're getting big aggressive sellers coming in now. You can see them here. Big aggressive sellers. Are the buyers going to hold or not? Yeah, that was up to 6 million. This was 3 million. So there's twice as many sellers, aggressive sellers coming in. You can see this thing's pushing down and it's absorbing all these buy orders. So let's see what happens here. But you can see 93, which is one tick above that bearish bar there. So there's those orders there. So let's see where this goes. But yeah, it just ate through those buy orders and didn't really do much. It just kept going lower. But now it is picking up a bit. The buy orders now are increasing. You can see there. So it's about 50-50 at the moment. So you see what happens. I wouldn't consider going long here. It would have to be a higher low above that now. There is a possible channel there, but there is a possible wider channel there. And obviously there's a possible range, so it's not easy. Let's make that a bit darker. 15. So there's also part of a range here, but I'm going to kill that colour at the moment because I'm more focused on it moving up. But if there is a range, we had a break out the bottom, and as we know, most of the time we get a break out the top, or vice versa, and it has, and now at the moment it's pushed in below this, the top of what we previously had of the channel, which you can see it's touched a bunch of times. So let's say where things go from here. So it ate all those, absorbed those buy orders quite easily, but we had a little bit of a pullback. But let's see, yeah, it is choppy. Volume is relatively low as well. It tends to pick up, I suppose. We go through this every year, don't we? It gets naff during the summer, and a lot of people say, yeah, when September comes, things will get better. And the last couple of weeks, it has picked up. I've took more trades in the last 2 weeks than I took in the last month, in the previous month. And it is frustrating, really, when you're not seeing many setups, because you spend all this time working your ass off, blood, sweat and tears, and once you've got the skill to trade, you get no bloody setups. It's frustrating. But it's part of it sometimes. Sometimes you just get a dry spell where you don't get a lot, but much better to not take any than take risky trades and end up getting in the red. The trouble is, you get a 2 or 3 losing trade, you're not seeing many trades, your next 2 or 3 are more or less just going to get you back to break even. So I think sometimes you're better off, when it's naff, just sitting back and maybe playing some music, or even taking a bit of a holiday. Because sometimes it's so easy to get sucked into a mediocre trade, and it almost always goes against you. You never get luck in this business. Luck doesn't exist in this business. I've tried it, doing stupid moves with evaluations. You do not get lucky. Markets are designed to kind of show you one thing and do the complete opposite. And experienced traders just get absolutely crucified. And it's kind of the circle of life in this business. You know, the experienced people are throwing the money in, and the experienced people are picking it up. And if you stay in the business long enough, you start to become one of the ones that starts to make it. Karina, Labor Day Monday, trades take off until Tuesday. Labor Day. When's Labor Day? Is it this coming Monday? I know we've had a bank holiday in the UK day before yesterday. You blew so much money trying it. Yeah, it don't work, mate, does it? It don't. If you want to have that gambling thing, I know you get the same sort of rush in trading, but I tell you something now, you'll make more money or you'll lose less money putting it into a casino. I think these casinos, these slot machines, have something like a 96%, and 96. So if you put in, say, $1,000, $100, you probably win on average 96 of it back, and that 4% edge is what the casinos rely on. You're never going to get lucky like that in this business. You're really not. But it is so damn hard not to get sucked in by the buzz of when you get right. It's because it brings on exactly those same sort of emotions that gambling does. But at some point you start to realise you can't keep doing it because it will massacre you. I guarantee it. And there's nothing worse. The feeling of getting completely obliterated and losing all your accounts is gut-wrenching. It's brought me to tears twice in the last 2 years. And that is, I'm not really a tearful person. I think my wife's seen me cry in 25, 28 years. But yeah, it's a horrible feeling. We all know what it's like. We all know that gut-wrenching, heart-pounding feeling when your accounts are starting to get obliterated and you keep trying and you're throwing in and you're throwing in and you're upping your risk and that. It's a horrible feeling. Markets close on Monday. Okay. But I'll tell you what I would suggest as well, something I'm a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a workaholic because I wouldn't consider myself a grafter or a really hard worker, but I am very motivated when it comes to doing stuff. If I kind of want to learn how to do something overnight, so I absolutely immerse myself in whatever I want to do. But one thing I never really did was take breaks, and I can't tell you enough how a break, and when I say a break, shut that computer down and don't touch it for a week. It does you the world of good, it really does. I spent 4 days in hospital a couple of weeks ago, and it's the first day I know I've said I've taken time off before, but I've still been watching the charts, or I've still gone back, or but there's nothing I could do while I was sat in a hospital bed. So when I came back, I kind of felt really refreshed. So it's definitely good to take a break. It's not an easy day today. There's not a huge amount of volume. I mean, that's it. Considering, where are we? 4 o'clock in the day, so 4. It's 11 o'clock Eastern time, isn't it? So there's probably, what, 4.5 hours trading left. Okay, so we've got a break. There is a higher low there. It's very tempting, that. My only concern is if there is a bigger channel, it could come down a bit lower. I don't think it's a terrible trade, that, but it just doesn't seem to excite me for some reason. It is a higher low, but also there's not much room to the top. So I'm just sitting tight here. I'm not. So there's not even 2 points. You'd have to tick through, so you wouldn't even get 2 points. I go for a little bit more than that. So I'm sitting tight here. It's just not exciting me. Do you know what? Even though Max got that, just don't like it. There's worse things in life than trading. Yeah. It's just that, it's that pull you get, isn't it, to want to succeed. And the trouble is, I know a lot of these prop firms do these evaluations so cheap. But I tell you something, since I've bought these live accounts with Tradeify, they work out about $250 a piece. You take a lot more care when you're spending that much money. So I think although these evaluations are so cheap, it kind of seems like a good thing. It's really not, because if only you're risking $30, if something starts to go wrong, it's very easy to move your stock and think, I'll take the risk, it's only $30. And then what happens? You blow your account. And then you get another one, you do it again. And it's very easy to get into a bad habit then. And I know, because I've done it. You just keep doing it, and you're doing it, and you rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. Before you know it, your money's just, you're eating through your money. So when things are cheap and they have less value, it's human nature to take less care with them. There's the problem. More like in a casino. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you want the rush, put your money into that. I still wouldn't suggest it, but if you like that rush feeling, keep $50 to yourself or whatever every month or something like that, and have a little, throw your money into there. But don't do it with trading. It don't work. You will get away with it once in a while, but my honest opinion, if I'm trading them stupidly, I would say it works twice in every 10 times you do it. Now, you wouldn't take a trade risking 8 to make 2. You'd never do that. So it's not going to work. You'll get away with it once, twice, but it doesn't work. Okay, so that higher low does seem like it's pushing up. I'm just not sure about things at the moment. You just don't know whether it's going to trigger you and come back down and test this. It's a bit untrustworthy. It's not the easiest read today. So much better. So we're about to come into contact with these sell orders up here now. You can see them up here. So as soon as we get above there, tick above there, it's going to hit them sell orders. So it'd be interesting to see where price goes. It may not get through it. How long it's been on the board for a while. See, it's weird. I've never really been a gambler. Never interested me. I bet I don't have one better year on stuff. Never interested me. I don't get a buzz from it. But trading, it's quite different. But maybe it's the fact that you've got to do it for a long enough period of time to get that buzz. But what I will say is, when you do this again and again and again, and you're taking risks, and it just doesn't work, sooner or later your brain starts to just give up and play the right game, and then it starts to work. I had a great start to the year. January, February, March, April, May. I earned $33,000 over those 5 months. And then I got a bit too confident. One day a trade went against me, panicked a little bit, moved me stop, comes towards you a little bit more, and then sometimes you're kind of all in, then, and it came back, moved it, came back, moved it, and I ended up blowing all my accounts. Trouble is, it takes a bit of time to get your accounts up to a few thousand till you start taking money from. And I managed to get my accounts up to 3,000 just before Christmas, and then presto, I got a payment every single month up until May. But because I took that silly risk with my stop, I ended up having to go through it all again. So my accounts aren't looking too bad now. They're not far off, about $1,500 each. So another $1,500, I can start to withdraw some monthly payments again. So I've also locked my stop now. So if I go into a trade, I can only move my stop towards profit. So I shouldn't have that problem anymore. It's just a little backup, but it only takes that once, something just to change in your mind, a little bit of stress and panic. As soon as that stop's moved, two things happen. You either get very lucky, you realise it and you get out of the trade, or it comes against you, you move it, comes against you, you move it. And I would say 7 times out of 10, your accounts are going to go. And it's very hard to get that mental strength because you're thinking, I was down $200 at my stop, but now I've moved it, I'm down $500 now. So you panic, and that's it. That's where you go wrong. You move it a bit more, give it a bit more space, and you're hoping and praying it turns, and you're in the lap of the gods, and unfortunately, and if they're not smiling on you, you're in the shit. And that's what happened to me, and that's why the next 3 months I've slowly had to build, or couple of months I've had to build these accounts up. But it does teach you a lesson, and it's taught me that sometimes I have these little emotional glitches, so I put into place that I can't move my stop. So that should rule out that. I'm pretty good at waiting patiently now. Patience is my strongest point. My trade setups and my ability to read the markets are kind of improving month after month. So sooner or later, all these little elements of your trading day slowly start to come together, and then that's when you start to get that slow consistency and that self-belief as well. But yeah, never take gambles with these. I still trade evaluations stupidly, to be honest with you. I blame the cheap prop firms for that, for making them so cheap. But when I do get onto my PA accounts, I do pay extra attention to those. There's another little habit that I'm going to stop as well. Occasionally, if I see a trade that looks a bit risky, I'll risk one of my accounts. As far as I'm concerned now, if a trade's not good enough to trade all your accounts together, it's not good enough to take. The trouble is, it's very easy to think, well, I've got 8 accounts. If I risk one, I'm not losing much, am I? And the trouble is, you lose an account, and what happens? You replace it with another one, you do the same again, and then you end up busting through a load more accounts. So you realise after a while, the simple thing to do is sit here, wait for a setup, take it, whatever happens, put it aside, forget it, carry on, start again. Just rinse and repeat like that. Wait for a trade, take it, regardless of whether it wins or lose. Learn from it, process it, forget it, move on. If you can do that, you're 3/4 of the way there. Still waiting to hit these sell orders, one tick above that bar at 93. Trouble is, we've made 3 attempts to push high. We've got a big bullish bar here, too far from that EMA, and it's triggered. Is this going to come down? Who knows? Really doesn't bother me about not taking a trade in a day. All that's important, it doesn't matter whether you get trades or not in a day. You can only take what the market will give you. The market doesn't offer you a trade. There's nothing you can do about it. You have to walk away. So I get more of a kick now out of sitting here all day without a setup and not taking it, and I walk away without doing something stupid. I feel quite a sense of an achievement doing that, so I don't feel forced to. I mean, there was a time, and some of you guys have been watching me for over 2.5 years now, I'd see the market going up and up and up, and I had no way in, and I'd just end up jumping in. You don't get away with it. I suppose when I started, I was taking 4, 5, 6 trades a day, sometimes a bit more, and losing most of them. I think slowly with time, when you learn these lessons, you slowly start to filter out the crap until you kind of find a nice little balance where things start to work. Sorry if I'm rabbiting on a bit today. So this bar is super vulnerable. It's off the EMA, it's right into the support, which is same again. It may hold, sometimes it will, but my gut feeling it's probably going to get stopped out. We are finding some support up here, you can see that. And I don't think there's enough buyers in here to prop price up. We still haven't hit those sell orders though, so we'll see. There is orders sat down here at 89, which is at this level here. So if you took that trade, I don't think that's going to work. So there's orders there, 1989. So as we know, price moves towards liquidity. So I think that's going to get taken out. It's a poor positional trade, really, right into support, right into the tops. Sometimes it old. There was two legs back yesterday on the chart, which I was looking at and I really liked. Where was it? It was there. We kind of had a move up and we had a nice correction. I like this, and one thing I noticed is it triggered. You can see there, perfect measured leg, big strong move up. Very tempting that. But if it's a strong enough position, yeah, we're breaking above these eyes. If it's a strong enough position, it'll hold. And look at that. It came down to exactly the same level and didn't work. So a correction followed by a second leg up. So if you had one leg up to here with a correction, you had more than a second leg up there. So sometimes if the position's strong, it'll hold. So what happened? We came back. We had another strong push up straight again. It's its support. It's not broken above there, and it crossed over and started to pull back. So far it's holding. In fact, you're looking at some of these sell orders being yanked now. They've gone from red to being blue and light blue. So a lot of traders who had sell orders or profit, whatever you want to, whatever they are. I think they're passive orders up there. They're starting to disappear slowly. So they're not as strong as they were. We had red there. So it's clearly struggling. It may still get above it. But I think the more times it tries, eventually give up. And if there's not enough liquidity up there, and long traders are taking profits up here, it'll naturally come back. Oh, excuse me. Is it going to work? Struggling. 2 ticks. 3 ticks from the top. Oh, tick above and we'll have a lot of those sell orders are disappearing though, so I still think it'll get above. We've got more orders now at 94, some larger orders there. So if it pushes above it, it may just hit that 94 quickly. Let's see if it does. Where's the 94 then? Okay, we're above here. Not as quickly as I thought, but so there is orders at 94. Mind you, there's a bunch at 6,500 up here as well. So all-time highs are up here. Okay, so channel break, 2 pushes to a new high. So that's played out now. Higher low for 2 points. That one there. Yeah, I don't think it was the worst trade in the world. Wasn't sure myself, just in case we had 2 legs. But I'm just super cautious at the moment. My gut feeling is seeing the orders on Bookmap, it was likely to break above there. So at least you had some scope up to there. So you've got 3. You've got the best part of 3 points there. Yeah, that's what I look at a lot. If I'm trapping shorts, the thing is, for every stop you hit as you're moving up, it helps with that momentum, doesn't it? So, I mean, we know there was stops up there. We know there was orders up there. So, but yeah. You know, I never knock anybody for taking a trade that I wouldn't, because we've all got different tolerances. And it's important to have that. Some people will just take everything they believe to be a setup. Now, trades like that are going to win more often than they don't. So as long as you're not risking 4 points to go for a point on every regressive trade, I don't think you're going to go far wrong. Yeah, but we've all got, some people a little bit extra. See, I've gone from over time being, excuse me, from being careless to being overcautious. It's certainly the better side to be on, but sometimes you can miss a few trades. But my win rate and how my accounts are building, I'm comfortable with at the moment, so I'm comfortable with being cautious. But it depends what you like mentally. If you play the game how it's meant to be played, and just take whatever setup you believe to be a setup, even if it's an aggressive one. Mac marks aggressive trades for a reason, because in a lot of cases they're still worth taking. He doesn't mark them because if you're an absolute maniac, those are the ones you're going to be taking. No, some people take the aggressive trade. Aggressive doesn't always mean bad. For instance, if you look at Bart takes aggressive trades, but he'll win them more often than not. So I think they're still profitable. But if you're Mac, the aggressive trades never fail, which unfortunately, as we know, isn't the case. But depends what you like and what your tolerance is for risk, and it depends what your nerves and how big your balls are. Mine are pea size at the moment, but I'm all right with that. I'm okay with growing slower. I've thrown that much money at it stupidly. I think I've just realised that I am much better off going a little bit slower. And also when this market goes very slow, I'm always suspicious. I can't tell you how many trades I've been in like that, and I'm looking for a way in, and all of a sudden, woof, down it'll come and ruin your day. So if this thing's moving slowly and it's struggling, I'm always cautious about getting into a trade. There's a big bunch of trades at 45 up there. You can see them there. Big order there. 600 orders up there at 95. You can see that order there, can't you? So price moves towards liquidity. There's certainly more liquidity higher up, but obviously that just seeing that doesn't account for the aggressive buyers and sellers. You could have the biggest, it could be a massive number there, but if you've got more aggressive traders, obviously they can outpower the passive ones. So I didn't trade on money to watch all day. Yeah, sometimes it's nice to just watch. It's kind of no stress. It kind of just stress disappears. I think it's a good practice sometimes just to watch and not trade, just once in a while, and see if you'd see anything different. See if you trade any different. I think if you completely eliminate risk, I think you'll trade different. Some people say they can make money on a sim, but when they go on to real money, they can't. That doesn't make much sense to me, because I think if you're on a sim and there's no risk, you're naturally going to take riskier trades. When there's money involved, my gut experience is you're more likely to be more careful. But the shoe's on the other foot as well. It swings and roundabouts. When you are risking money, the tendency is to panic and take a risky trade. But when you're not risking anything on a sim, there's no reason to jump straight back in to try and get your money back when you haven't lost anything. You're talking to yourself, yeah. That's a lot my process. That's how I kind of do things. But yeah, so I don't necessarily think sim trading, I think, can make you just take any old trade. Now, when you're first starting, that's probably the best option. But I don't know how many times I've sat in front of a sim and go, oh, I'll give this a go, or I'll give that a go, knowing that there's no way I'd take it on a live account. This is really slow today, and it's boring. I'm going to be away for a week in about 4 weeks. I've got to have my gallbladder removed, so I'm going to be stitched up and sore for a few days. So I'll see how I get on. The good thing about trading is as long as you're not dying, you can pretty much sit in front of a screen. But I think I'm going to be in hospital for a couple of days, maybe two days, I think. I've got my pre-op on the 5th of September, so I'm guessing it's going to be 2 to 4 weeks after that. Okay, so we can't. There is a bunch of orders up there, 614 orders I can see at 95, which is there. So whether it's just going to pull back and continue on, but we've been stuck in this area now for a while. Okay. I wonder why my line wasn't appearing. So we've been stuck in this. There's another one there. Let's just get rid of that. We've been stuck in this area now for since about there. So 55 for 20 minutes. We've been printing these few bars here. I don't trust price when it's doing that. It's clearly struggling to go anywhere, so that concerns me. Maybe a dry day today. Mind you, it only takes one trade that can kind of come out of nowhere, and that can change your whole day. But really, there's just not a lot. There's nothing really. I considered that one. I dare say a few may have taken it. One thing going for it was only a 4-tick risk, so you could. It was a small risk there, and if that was to push up to the top, even taking your stop there, you certainly got more than your risk. Certainly got more back than your risk, so you may do that, but that doesn't. It's irrelevant to me how small the bar is so much. If I think it's a risky trade, I just won't take it. It's too far from the EMA, really. We've got that sat down there. If we have a second leg down, a lot of times it'll pick off these weaker positions. That was only a first entry. So for me, it's too risky that it's going to trigger and come down. Now, I know it's a smaller risk, but it doesn't bother me, really. The fact that something's small, it doesn't push me to take a trade because the risk's too small. If I don't like the trade, I just won't take it. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. Enjoy the day, and yeah, you don't feel I'll take a trade every day. You know what? If you can take a couple of trades a day, a week. Let's say I go for $150. If I take 2 trades a week, or if I take 3 trades a week, or 3 or 4 trades, and I lose one, I don't think it's difficult to make $250 a week at all. But that's $1,000 over a month. You can have 20 Apex accounts. That's $20,000. You could have 5 Traderify accounts, 5 Take Profit Trader accounts, 5 you can earn a stack of money by just making a couple of $100 a week. You really can. So it's not worth taking riskier trades, because that process then is just going to take that little bit longer. So I remember now and again, I look back at some of my older videos, and I remember saying if I can make 2 trades a day and about $1,000 a week, that's where I kind of want to be. It was just unrealistic. Just might mean I've happened to have a good week, and you get a bit full of yourself and you think, yeah, I've made when I first started streamings, I had $1,000 days sometimes. $1,300 a day, I think, was my best. I thought I'll piss all over $2,000 a week, but it's you might have a fantastic week, but that was when I was just going for sort of as much profit as I can. But it's not realistic. It seems realistic, but I think sooner or later the market's got a way of really kicking you into touch and reeling you back in a bit. Don't get too confident, because the market will walk all over you. And it has. You're talking with you're dealing with an absolutely beast with incredible amount of power that can rip you to pieces. So, I mean, you've got to be humble with the market, and you really can't bully it. It'll walk all over you, chew you up and spit you out. But it takes you a long time of testing that theory before you start to realise. Never wanted to have 20 PAs, and I will copy it all together. Yeah, I mean, I've got 8 accounts at the moment. I don't think it's a bad option splitting them up. The only slight downside I would say is because we don't get a lot of trades, I prefer to trade them all together. Now, going back 6 months or so, 5-6 months, I used to trade 2 contracts. But I found when I had the losses, they did me more mental damage. So I reduced down to 1 contract. Now, when I went for a period of having 20 accounts, and I traded 10 of them for 2 contracts and the other 10 for 2 contracts. But because there wasn't a lot of setups, I was having kind of, you know, I just wasn't seem to be building them. So I thought the sensible option is to trade them all together and just go for 1 contract. That way your risk's minimum, but you've got the added benefit of you know, making multiple, you know, if I make $150, it's not a huge amount of money, but if you've got 8 accounts, that's a completely different ballgame. I got 8 at the moment. I mean, you could have 35 for the ones I know, really. If you had 20 Apex, 5 Trader 5 Take Profit Trader 5, you know, there's plenty of prop firms out there that you can trade. But the trouble is, we hear so many stories about people making huge amounts of money. You get sucked into that whirlwind, and you're kind of trying to rush to get there, and all it does is just slows your progress. Yeah, I mean, everyone's got a different way of doing things. You know, I know Nutty probably take 3 or 4 trades in a day, but he doesn't trade all his accounts at the same time. Generally, I'm at 1 contract, so my risk is relatively small, which is why I don't mind trading everything together. But the trouble is, the more you trade, you'll hit a point where the nerves will start to get the better of you, and that sometimes is more deflating than not. So yeah, it depends on how you want to kind of proceed. Do you want to go slow and steady, or do you want to kind of have an average risk but take less trades? There's so many different, and obviously your personality plays a part as well. Do you want to take risks? Have you got the nerve for it? Taking risks requires nerve. I haven't got a huge amount of it. I've got a lot of drive and determination, but you know, I went for a period of time, not so much now, but it's weird as it's weird how trading works. You'll crunch the numbers and see how much money. I've done it a bunch of times. So if I went for 3 points over the last 100 trades, how much would I have made? But you're basing those numbers on letting your trades run to their full potential or loss. But the trouble is, as inexperienced traders, and I still consider myself one, the tendency is if price comes towards you, you panic, and in some cases move your stop, so you increase your risk. As soon as price starts to go in your favour, you do the complete opposite. The tendency is to want to get out with something. The trouble is, you're going for trading from trading 1-to-1, 3-point risk, 3-point win, to risking maybe 4.5 points and only making a 1.5 profit. So if you ever do the numbers on whether it's beneficial to go for 1 point, 2 point, 3 points, you have to let the trades run to their full potential. I know in some occasions, say this trade here, when it starts to go sideways for 10 minutes, I understand the theory of getting out there. That's no issue there, because the more it starts to go sideways, the less strength that trade has. But it doesn't often happen, really. So if you ever decide to go through the numbers and make a plan on what profit you want to take, if the numbers work, you have to let every single trade go for its full potential, with the exception of that 5% that maybe you get out for break even. A break even trade's not so much of an issue. You haven't won, you haven't lost, so you can release them from your numbers. But and a trader that I do notice who 99 times out of 100, 98 times out of 100 always lets his trades is Thomas Wade. He'll put his trade in, and I've seen it bounce off his order 3 or 4 times, come back 2 points and go back up, and he doesn't touch it. It's sensible, that is. Get in your trade and fully commit. And that's the only way those numbers work. If you play the numbers out and they work going for a set amount of profit, you have to let every trade go for that profit. And some will argue even if it goes sideways. I've got to say, I can't tell you how many trades I got into there went sideways that eventually worked. If it's a strong enough position, it often will. Yeah, and there's your taxes as well. I have a spreadsheet. I do everything I pay, everything I make goes into that spreadsheet, and come the end of the year, I'll do my taxes. The good thing about being a trader is there's not much to do to a business. It's really easy to do your own taxes. I'm talking from a UK standpoint. I've had a business before in the past, and I had an accountant do it, but to be fair, it looked that easy. The second and third and fourth year, I did it myself. It's not hard, and I had a lot of different overheads then. Now, what have you got? You've got any computer equipment, maybe a bit of your internet, a little bit of your energy bills for the room you're in, and your valuations. It's pretty straightforward. You can count on one hand how many different types of overheads you've got, really. Computer equipment, any bills for your house, evaluations, maybe a bit of software here, there, that's it. So it's pretty easy to work out that and sort your own taxes out. I heard trading described as the perfect business a few years ago. And when you think about it, it is. You don't need any premises. You don't need any staff. You don't need vehicles. You don't need the various different insurances, vehicle insurance, MOT, services, all the maintenance that comes along with vehicles. You don't need any type of public liability insurance or accident insurance or anything like that. You don't need any tools. You don't need any clothing. You know, when I was a bricklayer, I had to buy boots all the time. I was constantly buying tape measures because mortar crucifies your tape measure. I was always buying new tools. I had to fuel me van, MOT it, service it, tax it, insure it. It's just one thing after another. And you don't really get any of that with trading. And the beauty is you can move anywhere you want. Doesn't matter. All you need is a computer, internet connection. Tis the perfect job. So that there that looked like it was pushing up, triggered, came down and was stopped out. It's too risky going there. You wouldn't have made much off that either. It literally just took out those highs. I bet you'd have barely made a point, maybe a point and a half there. So if you went a tick above there, so yeah, you probably wouldn't have even got a point out of that. You just can't take that into support, or that one. It's no different. In Spain, you have to open an LLC. In the US, take more than 50% of your benefits. Pretty straightforward in the UK, to be honest with you, the tax system. I just have a tax account, so all I do at the end of the year is just submit it. I'll open my page, it'll ask me how much I've earned, it'll ask me what my overheads were and how much my overheads were and anything else I've had to pay, and that'll work out to a box that says profit and loss. They'll check it. You get a certain amount of free pay, untaxable pay, which I think in the UK is about £12,500. First £12,500 you earn, you don't pay no tax on. The rest, I think, up to 55,000 is taxed at 20%. 55 to I think 105 is taxed at 40%, and anything above that is taxed at 45%. So it's pretty straightforward to do. It's not difficult. If you've done it once before, it's pretty easy. If you've got a business with loads of staff, loads of vehicles, loads of premises, loads of stationery tools, computer equipment, you need an accountant really. But if you've got a bit of common sense, doing something like this isn't difficult. You just got to have a basic understanding about how it works, and I've been around the clock long enough to know. So There is a little second entry long there, channel break, new low, but this is just too choppy and unpredictable and a bit dangerous. The one good thing is it has taken out any liquidity here, but I'm not trusting this at the moment because it took 40 minutes to do that and then dropped. So I'm not getting involved here. We could have a channel there. This may come down, and so this isn't. I've got no interest in this. You don't like the weather. You get used to it over here. If you're from Wales, you're born with webbed feet and fingers. It's that wet over there. Tax system's pretty okay here, I think. I think we are the most expensive country in Europe for our energy bills. It's horrendous. I think our energy bills are double the next highest in Europe. It's crazy. I think my energy bill for my gas and electric is something like £2,500 per year. That's for my gas and electric, that's over $3,000 a year. It's ridiculous. And we have our council tax. My council tax is about £180 per month. And then obviously I got my income tax on top of that, my national insurance. So it's not cheap to live in the UK. So, you know, a lot of these entrepreneurs that kind of, you know, work in the business where you can trade from a computer, like traders or investors, tend to move to tax-free countries, and why not? If you're earning over 105,000 a year, anything above that level you're paying about 45% of everything you earn to the tax system. So if you're making money from a computer and you're making 200,000, 300,000 a year, you could go and live in someone like Dubai, and you can live comfortably on just the amount of money you would be paying into the tax system in the UK. So the trouble is, the more tax you pay in a country, the more you get the big earners disappearing. Why not? UK has one of the best pensions and benefits. It kind of depends. I mean, I worked for a company once, and I had quite a good pension. They paid 10% of my wages in. So if I was on 35,000, they put 3,500 per year into my pension. I put X amount, but your state pension's not a huge amount. I think it's something like £120 per week per person. So pensioners without their own private pension are struggling. They get little handouts towards their heat bills over the colder periods and stuff. But the trouble is, I mean, we've got a big crisis in the UK at the moment with asylum seekers. You'll notice if you've seen all the press, people are spray painting and painting the St George's flag everywhere, the kind of white with a red stripe. There's kind of a big uprising in this country, and it's about time. Because just in the last year, we've got 120,000 asylum seekers illegally coming to the country. Up until now, and still at the moment, they're put up in hotels. They're giving mobile phones. They're giving spending money. They're giving free national health. They're giving free dentists. For people who spent all their life in this country and paying into the tax system can't get a dentist appointment for love nor money. And people have just, quite frankly, had enough. You know, and some might say, yeah, well, they're coming to a safe country. Well, they've come through half a dozen safe countries before they hit the UK. France is a safe country. But because our government is gutless and they hand out money willy-nilly, we're a big target. But hopefully in the next 4 years, when we have a general election, hopefully Mr Farage and the Reform Party will take power and put a stop to it. It's just, you can't keep doing it. You can't keep giving out money all the time because, you know, a government's first and foremost job is to take care of its citizens, to protect them and make sure we're giving everything we need in line with the money we've been paying into the tax and national insurance all our life, and we're not. You know, you don't get 2 or 3 people and invite them into your house, give them all your money, and then moan at the end of the day you've got no money yourself. People will say you're an idiot. It's not, you know, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see people persecuted, but 95% of the people that come illegally and into this country are young, undocumented, military age males with no background. You know, they've been videoed throwing their mobile phones, ripping up the passports and throwing them into the sea on the way here. There could be absolutely anything. And you know, we're getting more and more heavily religious people who live in vastly different types of situations that we do, that are attacking young females on the streets and stuff. It's, you know, it's kind of like getting mice and cats to live together. It's just not happening. It just can't happen. So no other countries do it, or very few countries do it. You can't get into the US like that. You can't get into Australia for love and money, but yet we invite them in. Another reason why I didn't want to get into a trade there, I thought this thing could collapse. It's been going up that slow. As I said earlier, it did it somewhere else where it just dropped there quickly. I was kind of expecting that. So possibly 2 legs down long there. I just don't like it at the moment. But you have to take care of your own citizens. You know, I've been paying into the tax systems for 40 years. But you try getting a dentist. It's a nightmare. I want a dentist appointment now. I'm going to have to wait 3 months. It's crazy. Hospital appointment. If I needed knee surgery, I'd be waiting 8 months. Why? Because there's too many people in the country. The government hasn't got the money. They're spending billions on putting asylum seekers up instead of using those billions to prop up the National Health Service, to prop up the education service for the people that have been paying into all their lives. It's crazy. It's absolute crazy. You can't do it. You know, I know I watched the Nigel Farage speech yesterday, and a couple of reporters asked the same bloody questions as always. Are you happy that some people are going to go back to their country and possibly tortured? You can't take responsibility for what happens to people all around the world. You just can't do it. I can't be responsible for if some guy decides to shoot his neighbour in Australia. You can't do it. You can't take care of everybody. You know, I've said this before. If when you got your wages on a Friday, you give some of it to your friends, some of it to another friend, some of it to another friend, and by Wednesday you'd run out of money, you'd moan and you had no money, people would say, why are you giving money away when you can't afford to live yourself? It's exactly what we're doing. I think the country's in something like £3 trillion worth of debts. As I say, you know, I went into A&E. It took me 2 days to get a hospital bed. I was in A&E in an reclinable chair, uncomfortable as hell, stuck in a little room in A&E because I couldn't get a bed. The first night I was in A&E, second night I was in some temporary ward in an horrible steel bed. It's crazy. And for people who've worked all their lives and paid into the system, that is our pot of money to take care for us. Exactly the same as when you're putting money every month into your pension. You don't get to pension age and the government say, right, we want 3/4 of that to give to all these asylum seekers. You go mad. You're invested in your future, so you've got money for your old age when you need it. Exactly the same as the country. The country are dealing with our money. It's our pot of money that we've been paying into for all our working lives. And now, when we start to get sick and we need dental care, we can't get access to it because it's all gone. Because your government has been gutless and allowed asylum seekers to come in year after year and paying ridiculous amounts of money to hotels. Sorry, I'm having a rant. Huge amounts of money. They get mobile phones, they get spending money, they get clothing vouchers, they get full use of the NHS and dental. Crazy. And then if they eventually get asylum, even though they come over illegally, they can then import all their family over, which means more money, more benefits given away that we haven't got. And all the time, the country's getting deeper and deeper in debt, and its citizens are getting poorer and poorer. You get a serviceman who served his country for 20 years, and I've seen it. He has post-traumatic stress disorder. He can't fit into society and he's sleeping on the streets. Asylum seeker will be more entitled to a house than a 22-year-old serving veteran that has been basically dropped aside by the government. It's absolute crazy. That's it. I won't say anymore. It's not a political stream, but you know what it's like. It's the same in most countries. We kind of all have it to a certain degree. I'm not sure what is going on here. There may be something like that. It's hard to say at the moment. It's not super clear. So hopefully, anyway, in 4 years, I'm hoping there's more and more protests. People are getting more and more peed off about it. So I'm hoping Starmer gets backed into a corner enough that one, either his party lose confidence in him and they out him and try and make a change, because if they don't do something, they're going to lose the next general election without a shadow of a doubt. I suppose the good thing is at least Trump's fighting for you guys. You know, these tariffs, they might not be suitable for some people, but at least he's trying to get more money in. You know, I kind of like what he's doing in Los Angeles, where he's trying to make the place a lot safer. So he is definitely fighting a lot harder for US citizens than Keir Starmer is for British citizens. He doesn't seem to be doing nothing for British citizens, but everything for everyone else. So hopefully, if enough people get pissed off with him, he'll start to disappear, or he'll get voted out, vote of no confidence, however it comes. He's going to have to do something quick, and from what I've seen, he's doing nothing. Take to another planet, you never know. We can only hope. We can only hope. But no, first and foremost, it's any job's government to protect the integrity, safety of its citizens. And it's not happening in the UK at the moment. Anyway, I've had me rant for the day. So this is hard going. How long have I been going for? 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm not going much longer. Not the easiest of trading days today. Sometimes it's good to finish early and do a few other things. It's paella night tonight, so I've got to go downstairs and cook a paella soon. So my favourite meal, paella. I have a big paella pan about 14 inches, 15 inches wide, and I make a massive portion of it. So paella night. So it doesn't look like we're going to get any setups today, but that's okay. I've done my job. I've sat here patiently, and in all honesty, I haven't seen anything that's tickled my fancy at all. Nothing really. This was all pre-market, and nothing there. 2 legs down, possibility there, but it's a bit congested. There is a bit of a wick, so a higher low is the better option, which unfortunately we didn't get. And then you're kind of up here. Nothing you can do up here. I thought we were going to have a flush down. We did, but then there's a higher low there, but it doesn't interest me. There's not much room to the highs, and then can't take that one. You wouldn't have got enough. That one, I go for 3 points, so I didn't like that. You wouldn't have got even a 1.5. You'd have squeezed a 1.5 out of it. That's it. So absolutely right. If I go to Italy, I don't go to Italy to change the place. I go because I like the appearance and the attraction of that culture. If I want to go to Spain, I go to Spain because I want to eat paella. I go to Spain because they've got beautiful buildings, because of the food, because of the culture, because of the look of the place, because of the weather. I don't go there, move there and say, I don't like this, I don't like that. We change this, we change that. You don't do it. You don't march into someone else's front room and demand they change the colour of the paint on the wall. It doesn't work that way. You come to someone else's country. If they're good enough to let you in and take care of you, you respect them. You respect their ways. It's like all this halal stuff. I don't believe in it. We have animal rights over here for a reason. And to put a poor cow's head in a vice and slice its throat with a bloody great big knife, I think is disgraceful. It's against all our beliefs. I don't agree with it. I better shut up before I start frustrating people, but it's disgusting. Yeah, I'm a meat eater, but there's a certain way of doing things, and we have a way for a reason, so I don't think you should make any exceptions. It is what it is. Steal a penny, steal a pound, makes no difference. Doesn't matter where you're from. You come to this country, you follow its rules regardless. And our country's that gutless that it changes rules to suit certain people. Doesn't work that way. I better be careful what I say. I'll end up in prison. I think there was a woman recently got out of prison because she started talking about certain things and they locked her away. But what happened to freedom of speech? Okay, folks, I think I'm going to call it a day today. This just isn't looking very prosperous, is it? I think sometimes it's nice to have an early finish, go and do a few things. So I'm going to leave you folks to it. So best of luck if you get a setup. Fingers crossed for you. But I'll be back tomorrow. Excuse me. You're vegan, are you? Yeah, I do love animals. I certainly wouldn't necessarily kill an animal. I know some cultures, like I know in US they've got a big hunting scene, and they've kind of, it's how they've kind of grown up. But you know, I know I eat meat, not a huge amount, but you know, we've got 2 dogs. We're animal lovers. But you know, I think if you are gonna take the life of an animal, you've got to do it quickly and humanely. I think slicing the poor thing's throat is just, it's appalling. I think I wouldn't do it. I don't agree with it. But there you go. Sorry, I've had a bit of a rant today. Sometimes I can't shut up about stuff, but there you go. Anyway, I'll leave you guys to it. Have a great day. Have a safe evening. Take care, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Bye for now.